Welcome to the Angels Brief, the podcast series. We bring together the smartest minds in angel investing and ambitious startup founders to share their stories, insights, experience, and much more. The host for today's episode is Duran York, the CEO of Cityside Ventures and the co-founder of Birmingham Angels. So let's get to it.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to our 2025 podcast series called The Brief. It's episode 1. Today, the topic is going to be mobility. Where are we going from here? And I'm lucky to have in the studio today Michael Plocher, which is the president of Europe and Americas for JOYSONQUIN Automotive Systems, also a member in Birmingham Angels.
Yes.
Hi, Michael.
Hi.
So,
good morning.
How about if you kind of give people a little bit background about yourself?
Yeah, I'm an automotive. I'm Michael, by the way, Michael Plocher. I'm an automotive since my career started. I've been in Mexico for 7 years, did a couple of greenfield projects, moved to the US 4 years ago, and now running here the automotive business, JOYSONQUIN. We bring emotions into cars. We do interior trim to make the cars look nice when you open the door, real wood, carbon fiber. That's what we are doing.
Very cool. And Michael is also one of the members in Birmingham Angels. So the point of, let me first introduce myself. My name is Duran York. I'm the CEO of Cityside Venture, but I'm also one of the founders of Birmingham Angels, which is one of Oakland County premier angel syndicate. We have about 65 to 70 members, all wealthy individuals from Oakland County that are looking for opportunity to invest in startup companies. So the point of this podcast is to bring industry experts, thought leaders, to give perspective of certain trends of certain industries. And of course, we all know that Michigan is big in automotive. We thought that's going to be a good place to start. So it's designed to give the investors, the angel investors in our group, some valuable insight to inform them about the state of the industry as they make a decision on invest. Right? So that's the context. So let's start, Michael, by kind of take some couple minutes and say, so the automotive industry, we're hearing that there is some downturn coming, started last year, continued to this year. The European automakers are struggling right now. The U.S., it's not that different. I think there's a struggle all over the place, and you are the person on the front line taking the bullets. So give us kind of an outlook 2025 and beyond.
Yeah, happy to do this, Laurent. Thanks for kicking this off. So automotive right now is a challenge, I would say, not just right now. It was during COVID and continued. Everyone was hoping that after COVID, things are getting better. Unfortunately, this was not the case. We still have, I would say, the gray skies instead of the blue skies, lots of challenges. I mean, the policies we have in place, the tariffs. Now with the new president-elect, this is also interesting on how it's going to be evolved and continued. Supply chain globally is a difficult challenge since COVID, and it even became worse and not better. And then also the challenges we have, let's say the big three are discussing, what about China? What are they doing? Are they moving out of China completely or not? Because they are not successful, especially now with the new EV brands evolving in China and going even abroad with the price competition. Then we have the strikes, what we have seen also last year with Ford and the year before with GM, which is a challenge. So all these topics are, let's say, still melting up to the big challenge what we're facing globally. Then also the Europeans are struggling because the China market is struggling based on the China policies, which we have seen that China first, which is paying off. And also the big brands, BMW, Mercedes, VW groups are struggling. We also saw that Bosch is struggling, reducing headcount in Europe. And Bosch also announced, the CEO just announced last week that for the first time in history, they're struggling in all 4 fields they are represented and have challenges equally, which they never had before.
So explain to me, so what is it? I mean, we in Michigan experienced, at least for my time in Michigan, at least 5 automotive crises. Is this as people don't buy cars anymore? They buy less cars? I mean, what caused this?
It's a mix, and they buy less cars. And we also have to look into, all the OEMs globally have been heavily investing in EVs. And now the policies changed. let's say, the government incentives stopped or partially stopped and people now moving. I also saw statistics that 40% of EV drivers in the US switching back to hybrids or combustion engines. So this is not helping the investments GM and the others have been doing, or Rivian, which needs to come up, for instance. So these cars are bought less. So let's say the dealership parking lots are filled up, investments are done, and now the cash flow is not coming back because we are not selling the cars in Michigan. But it's also a topic in Germany or in Europe. Germany also stopped the government support, and all of a sudden people are not buying
Is
the
this
cars.
also because cars quality got to a point that the life cycle of ownership of cars longer than it used to be? Or what?
This could be. Right now we also see this because the interest rates are still high. So for car financing, it's above 7-8%. So this is also slowing down where people extending their existing leases. Or the ones who financing a car, buying a car, they probably wait to another cycle because overall interest rates are still high. So this also is.
So for car buyers, just a side note. So we should expect in 2025. I heard some rumor and a grapevine that you're going to start seeing a big incentive from the dealership to get into new leases and selling new cars.
I mean, we're already seeing it that there are several promotions out which we didn't see after COVID because there was so a big demand.
Right.
And now we see that this is slowing down. So of course the car makers get creative in the dealerships again.
We also, I want to get your perspective also on the fact that again, remember this podcast is actually designed to give the investors some insight because we get approached by a lot of automotive related startups.
Yep.
Right. And given the state of the automotive industry right now, we need to kind of be extra careful when you look at mobility startups because probably the cycle of those startups is going to be a lot longer than it used to because the automotive company would not spend more money on new things and things like that. So I heard there's a cultural shift that happened in America right now. Many families, especially young family, with the remote working or hybrid working, feel that they're suitable with one car instead of two.
Yeah, I mean, we see this trend already in California, which is probably ahead of the game with, let's say, they have been the first movers of Waymo, Uber, Lyft, where all young generations are not even owning a car at all. So they use this car sharing platforms. So let's say also in Europe, we see this where you have an app and you can drive some cars with smart mobility in the cities. They don't own a car. They take the metro or let's say take these applications. So we will see definitely a shift. If you ask me, I don't think that we will ever come back to the volume sold, which we have seen in 2016, where we had probably a global peak because of this trend, that we get additional mobility options where we can select. And just to put it in an investor's view, we also have to be careful which deals we are selecting because let's say the EV topic, it's not dead. It's coming back, but it's a marathon. It's not coming in the next 2 or 3 years.
I appreciate it. So let's organize it to the investors. So let's touch the top 5 hot topics in automotive. Autonomous driving. What's your take on it?
It will be coming, but we see the challenges that so far not even Tesla as the leader in it was able to get it completely approved. So it will be interesting now with what we see, what's going on in politics, if there will be some opportunities for Elon Musk and Tesla that they can basically pursue it. Waymo probably had a breakthrough. We see that the cars are already running in San Francisco, LA, and for sure this will be the next generation.
So if we're looking like 15, 20 years out, you think that car as a service is going to be the model that the world's going to go to? So you call the car when you need it, but you don't have to have it in the garage?
Yes. Otherwise, it's in dead asset. No, the car is not generating cash.
So 10 for this. Let's talk about the EV. We clear that there's going to be some rebound for the EV, but what do you think? It's 3 years, 5 years, 10 years?
I say probably more in the 10 years where we will see the adoption. And there might be then even alternatives we don't think even about today.
Is this just a technology roadblock or it's also a cultural thing?
It's cultural. It's also that the potential is not there yet, let's say, especially here in Michigan, where people have a trailer, where they have a boat or whatever, and EV is not yet there that they would be able to carry what the people needs. And the infrastructure is also another topic.
Right. So is it true or false that like technology like solid state batteries could change and impact the industry, or that's not a big factor?
Yes, I think we already have also better batteries. We are faster with the high voltage batteries, which are coming out now, already out in the market. But the other topic is it's not affordable yet, but it's similar to the first screens. And the first screens also have been pretty expensive, and then over time you get TVs today for 250.
Yeah, but you
and
hear a
above.
lot about when you talk to people about electric vehicles, they're all talking about the range is the issue and all this stuff. But if you look at most of the electric cars that being sold, they're being used with the in-town kind of commuting. People don't buy electric car to drive 600 miles. They usually get to go to the supermarket, and so range is not really a problem, right? And even charging is not really a problem. Right?
No, you can do it. And the people with longer ranges, they go for probably combustion engine or hybrid anyways.
Right. So it's not that the issue. It's more the mindset of people kind of making the leap to when you hear the Tesla exploding and this exploding. And I know for women, for example, they're afraid of electric cars more than men, which is kind of thing, right? So if I'm an investor looking at the electric space, I should take extra caution and stay away from it because the adoption is going to probably get, unless it's a very.
I would not say stay away from it, but more caution, do a better due diligence, and then also compare to other alternatives you have to invest in, because it needs to be clear that this is a marathon and not a sprint. So you cannot expect most likely that there's a return in the short period, 3 to 5. I think it's rather 5 to 7, 10 years.
So if you can point to 1 or 2 or 3 kind of hot spots in the automotive industry that you still need innovation and technology, what space it's going to be?
I would say definitely the smart mobility, also the smart cities, what we see, where cities investing in this kind of concepts, and this is the space also combined with AI. I mean, we see AI as an inflationary add-on for every startup today, so we also have to be careful there. But I would say mobility and smart city connection, this is where I believe we have to look into. This was around already 10 years ago at the International Auto Show, but I think now it becomes more and more important, and let's say technology is ready that it can be used. We already see it in cities like San Francisco or in the Bay Area, in LA, where they're using these models already successfully. And we see it also in Europe in the bigger cities.
Okay, so because one of the things that we're talking about, it's not only a question of selling the cars, right? But it's also a question of you have to separate the automotive industry from necessity of mobility to toys and luxuries, if you will.
Yes.
Kind of thing, right? I mean, people want to drive the Range Rovers and the Porsches and the thing, but they are very small percentages compared to the people just using as a form of transportation.
Yes.
Right.
But on the other side, the OEMs also have to become creative, because let's say if we consider now that the total market, addressable market is, let's say they reach the peak, and they have to grow as well, otherwise they're getting in trouble. So then they have to think about how they can also, let's say, overthink their existing business model to have recurrent revenue models. And that's the way how they can open up this space if they go into this smart cities, mobility solutions instead of just the car itself.
So I collected some kind of nuances in the last couple of weeks of things that point to some possible changes in automotive landscape, and I kind of tested with you, true or false kind of thing. Okay. So one, for example, there's a story about a family in Minnesota. It's 2 young families that live together, house next to us, met each other, and they have small kids. One plays soccer, the other play hockey. And they decided that each family going to have one nice car and then one minivan they share between the 2 families. So schlepp the kids here and there and other thing. They said, we don't need 2 minivans sitting in the garage. We can use one. There's another example in I think it was Wisconsin somewhere. That's a subdivision that actually bought 3 minivans that's kind of for the neighborhood's use. Anybody can go to the app and say, I need it Thursday at 2 o'clock, and I need it for it's like, and they're all paying for it together as a community. So that's and the last one that we kind of notice is that there's like I have a neighbor that spent half of the time in Florida and half the time over here. So money's not an issue for him. So he owned a BMW over here and a BMW in Florida, and he decided when he's not here in Michigan, the 6 month in Michigan, he's renting the car to somebody who want to drive it over here, kind of make money. It's kind of interesting. But the point that I'm making is that there's going to be more creative way to do like pay as I need it kind of thing versus own it and pay for it.
Yeah.
Even my wife and I mean, she's working from home. I'm in the office here twice a week. The rest of the time I work from home. So we start asking ourselves, why are we having two leases or two cars? Let's buy one nice one, but have one. And if I need to go to Birmingham, I'll take Uber.
This could be an option. I mean, this is already out there, and also the thoughts of Elon that your car could be an asset in the future when you don't need it, that you put it in the Uber Lyft fleet or whatever, or the Tesla own fleet or a taxi, it was called. Waymo has this kind of concept. So it's an idea, and I'm pretty sure that the OEMs are looking in this.
So when we're looking at the investment opportunities in the industry, what are the components still missing to make some of those things real? Is this we need to invest in sensors technology, we need to invest in lidars, we need to invest in infrastructure. Where do you see going to be the biggest amount of return in the next 10 years? Or is this charging? What is it?
That's a good question, and
I loaded it.
It's probably the most difficult question and give you all the answers. I mean, it's for sure it's a mix of everything, because infrastructure so far needs to be also smarter than it is, and it's not just the loading stations. And then it's a question of, it's it car sharing, where you have just an application. I mean, Porsche, for instance, has the Porsche passport, and they're testing it in Atlanta, and I think a couple other states, where you pay also different levels. I think they have 2 or 3 different levels, and then you basically also, based on demand, you can choose whichever car you want. Let's say today you go up north and you want to have a Cayenne that you can fit the family and the luggage, then you take the Cayenne, you come back next weekend, and then you want to drive the convertible, you can order the convertible, and the concierge is interchanging the car. But that's a luxury, let's say, category which is not suitable for everyone. And there's probably the family needs, which you mentioned. And that's exactly where Canoe or Zoox, also 2 startups in the field, where they want to have this minivan solutions for groups. And this could be smarter cities, but also individual cases.
Cadillac started this with their program, right? The membership in the Cadillac, I think, is the first company that tried the membership concept.
I mean, this is also sometimes it's great ideas, but it's not the right time to go up with your idea, because it's too early that people would adapt to it. Also, let's say that you can talk with your private assistants, like we have seen in the movies with Tony Stark. This is becoming, in the future we will talk. I mean, we're starting now with Google Assistants or Siri or some others, that also the voice enabler and the different accent. You hear also my accent. It's different than yours and anyone else. And we get to a level where now, let's say, technology is pretty good. And the same will be there with the enablers of this car sharing.
So, and again, as an investor, we always knew that automotive industry in general, it's a long cycle. Even to become a vendor to an automotive, to the OEM, it takes a long time until you become. And in Michigan, historically, I talked to some old-time automotive exec. In the old days, if you were a supplier to GM, you kind of had guaranteed business for 10 years. I mean, you'll be a supplier, they're going to keep order from you. This loyalty is getting shorter and shorter, if at all. I know some stories you told me that suddenly when they have to cut the cost, they tell the supplier, hey, we're canceling the contract. The supplier said, well, I'm going to sue you. And they said, okay, sue me. But you know that if you sue them, you're not going to ever do business with them again. So you have to eat the cost, so to speak, and kind of try to take the punch and see what happened. But is the loyalty from the supplier to the OEM is what used to be, or it's all on the block?
Also, good question. I would say, or I see it in both directions for sure. At the end, you need to be competitive, means price and quality. But what I've seen, especially also with the big 3, is when you deliver good quality and you are reliable, you're also innovative, then you still have a chance that they will, let's say, consider you for the future business, and you are a strategic partner. But for sure, with all the challenges they have right now also, and the cost increases, they also have to challenge costs. And at some point, and this we see because we also reached the all-time high Chapter 11 filing, especially in Europe, with all the sub-suppliers for automotive companies. So there also needs to be a rethinking, because just cheaper for the supply space won't work, because also cost increasing, energy costs, and also global supply chain with the sea freights. And we just saw that also the container freight from 3,500 a container went up to 8,000 a container just within 6 weeks. These are new challenges where we are confronted even faster than in the past. And OEMs also cannot neglect this.
So what you're saying, that if you're a supplier to GM or one of the OEMs and you have a price structure with them, the fact that your costs going up, you can roll it over to them because you have a contract with them. You have to kind of eat it. That's why the supplier kind of bleeding at some point.
Yes and no. I mean, most of the suppliers are going to the OEMs and look for solutions jointly, either price increases or, let's say, material changes and finding solutions. Because, of course, the OEM also doesn't want to eat up the higher costs because they cannot pass it on to the end customer. But in the end, it needs to be a mix. And for sure, who is able to increase the prices or reduce their costs or find a balance between both, these are the ones surviving.
How do you counter the fact that the profit on cars is still getting higher and higher, and the supplier gets squeezed and squeezed? You know,
Well, that's where you see right now the all-time high for Chapter 11 filings on the on the supply base, because now I think we reached a level where it doesn't work. On the other side, we always see new suppliers coming from Asia or from other regions in the world, which are able to maintain and deliver.
so I'm going to ask you a loaded question that if you elect not to answer, I will understand. Do you think that what's happening in the world, especially China and even country like India, from all countries, but nevertheless, that United States going to lose the seniority on automotive business in the future?
I would not say lose. It will be interesting. The question will be if every one of the OEMs we have today as the local ones will be able to survive as they exist today. I mean, we see new partnerships coming on the horizon, like Nissan, Honda, and probably even Mitsubishi. They're deciding if they will be part of this conglomerate. So they will be then the third biggest global OEM besides VW and Toyota. So this kind of alliances or new alliances we will see in the future more, I guess, because not everyone is able to survive. Because they will get new competition. And if we consider that we reached the peak of global automotive sales in 2016, and not getting back there based on the new technologies and the car sharing and the young generations are different, then it will be not continuing like it is, because not all of them will be able to survive. So either they are innovative, that they will be able to stick in the market, or they will lose market share to the new players coming in. We also see that now that the China brands see tariffs on the cars they wanted to import, so they localize. They will use old plants from Toyota or GM in the US, in Brazil, and then they will be local and not paying the tariffs.
Now, again, and not a loaded question. How do you, from your perspective, can justify the valuation on Tesla?
I mean, it's a lot of future factored in with the self-driving, and also, let's say, Elon once said probably in the future they will not even build cars. They probably sell the software and forget about building the cars because someone else can do it better, cheaper, faster, whatever. And it might be the software if they have the breakthrough with the self-driving or with the robotics, with the Optimus. If Optimus will be the breakthrough, then they focus on Optimus and bring robots to the missing workforce we also have in the US or any other developed country.
I understand. So you said the bulk of the valuation, the $1 trillion+ valuation on Tesla, it's not on the actual sales on how many cars on the road. It's what did they provide in the future of the automotive industry? Because I'm trying to, for quite a while, to put my hands around this valuation, and I can't come up with anything to justify besides hype.
It's factored in. It's probably also partially is hype. And then also everything what is, let's say, Elon promised, what Tesla wants to do with this full self-driving, also with the robotaxis, with the Optimus, the robot, which would be able to run manufacturing, but also then could become an asset or the maid at home, whatever you can imagine. I mean, if this is not coming, then we will probably see that Tesla price will be not as...
So the promise in Tesla, it's what they will provide beyond automotive and cars and all
yes,
that. Okay.
Everything what we see, what they have been presenting, this is already factored in.
I got it. Okay, so now, I know it's hard to predict, and it's maybe not a one-street answer, but if you're looking at the automotive business, it's going to recover itself. It's going to cycle, going to take 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. When do you think the automotive business is going to go back to kind of more stable ground, if at all?
I don't think that it will be completely coming back to what we consider stable. I mean, automotive was always fast in changes and had to adapt. Even development cycles have been shrinking from 5 years to 3 years to meanwhile sometimes even just 1 year, 1.5 years from development till SOP. I don't believe that it's coming back to what we used to. So it will be always new challenges and things like we saw with the pandemic, and then now with the global supply chain crisis, we also see different regions acting differently, have new policies which could have an impact, and we cannot foresee what's happening in the next year or two from now. But let's say that we see some clarity on the horizon. I would say at least another 1.5 to 2 years because of the global mix what we have right now with also geopolitical challenges.
Okay. So from the investment perspective, if I'm an investor, especially early stage investor, so if I was a later stage investor investing in a company already have customers and revenue and stuff like that, it's easy. But when you have a new mobility company pitching, knocking on your door, you will have to look at it 10 eyes instead of two, because you know it's going to take, if at all, it's going to take a hell to get into the OEM
Yes.
cycle.
Yes.
Right.
And it will be difficult also. You need to understand the business model they are in and do a proper due diligence and then rather consider a long run because no one knows right now what exactly are the turns it will take and in which direction things are moving. That's also the most difficult question right now, what I see at the OEMs, no matter with whom I'm talking at the purchasing level or even to the engineers and the innovation teams we are dealing with. No one even knows what kind of horses they should bet on. They have lots of challenges.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, right? I mean, I'm like I said, I mean, I've been around these 5 crises in automotive business, and every time the people that predict what's going to be the next stage, they were wrong every single time, and the industry took itself too. Because, like I said, we're living in a time right now, from my understanding as an investor, that it's a cultural shift, not just industry shift, in many ways. It's what do we need? Why do we need it for? So, right? I mean, the workforce may go back to office setting, but not 100% of the time like before. There's still some flex, working from home. A lot of jobs offered today work from home instead of office and stuff like that. So the commute, the less need for commute, you know, at least on a regular basis. In America, people used to buy cars because you used to drive 45 minutes to get to work, right? But if you don't need that, then, you know.
Yeah, but we will still need it at least till we can replace the workforce partially because we still have manufacturing and it's one of the biggest things also in
Right.
Michigan. And these people cannot work from home, so they have to commute to the manufacturing plants. Also consider the hospitals and the doctors, these areas, they also have to commute. So there will be always a need of mobility. Also, people like to travel for vacation, etc. So I think mobility is one thing in human nature, which we had early on.
No, don't get
And
me.
even
No,
continues.
don't misunderstand what I'm saying. There's still going to be need for cars, of course, but the use of them change.
Yeah,
right?
the business model changes.
My wife and I went to Traverse City during the holidays. We rented a car. Why should I put mileage in my car? I mean, it's get a rent a car, put the mileage in their car if something happened, and then, just think like that. If I need to come from West Milford to Birmingham twice a week, I'll take Uber. I don't need to pay between the lease or the car payment and the insurance and the maintenance and everything else. It's $10,000 a year I'm spending in my car. So why Uber is cheaper, right? So the culture have an element of it, and when I'm talking to young people, I did some focus group over the holiday with some young people. They have a different perspective. They don't even care what car they're driving. It's a transportation for them.
Yes.
They will spend more money on vacations and things they like than a fancy car. They're not car people like the generation before them and the generation before them.
It's probably, yes, it's not as big as of a status symbol as it probably was in the past. And for sure, the luxury goods always will have their market. Right. But at the end, like you said, it's more from coming from A to B, and they will figure out a way instead of having a car which sits most of the time in the garage or in front of the house and is not used. Then they can put the money somewhere else.
So if we kind of summarize the takeaways from this conversation is when we get approached by mobility type startup companies, we need to open 10 eyes to look at them. We need to make sure that what they have could fit into where the industry heading to, if everybody knows where they're heading to. And knowing that, so the second takeaways is that the adoption or the scaling cycle is going to be much longer than it used to be in the past.
Yes.
And 3 is that if they can position themselves to be in the price and the quality that automotive actually demanding, otherwise they're going to be out of the business.
Yes.
Right.
That's, I would say, the three takeaways: that we need a longer breath, for sure, when we invest in new mobility startups.
Well, we are definitely going to keep this, keep like the pulse and the tab on this, and we do few more podcasts around the year to kind of keep updating every time there's going to be a new development in automotive. We'll bring you over to talk about it and share with us. But it's a great, great insight, I think, because again, you're the person on the front line dealing with this every day, and hearing from you is different than an analyst sitting somewhere and trying to get data. And we wish you guys luck in 2025. Hopefully, things are going to turn quicker than slower, but yet we're going to keep tab on it. So, Michael, thank you for taking the time. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Darren. And if you, as potential investors or investors interested in Birmingham Angels, to get a little bit more of background, feel free to reach out to Darren or myself. More than happy to answer the questions and guide you through Birmingham Angel.
Happy 2025.
Are you interested in becoming a member and joining our group? Please contact Jerron York by phone 248-981-6688 or visit our members' website by using the following QR code. We are looking forward to talking to you soon.